What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Black Market. Wanted to do a quick review on a couple of stocks I was looking at trading today, um, to show you what was a good setup and what's a good setup, and some causes that may cause that good setup to actually end up not being a good trade. So I was looking at AMD. So you can see AMD is in the semiconductor sector, and it was in a squeeze right here. And I was looking at Apple, and Apple being in the tech sector. So you can see going into the day, both of these were in hourly squeezes, right? So going into the day, they're in a squeeze with volume, buying pressure within that squeeze. So that's kind of an A plus setup for me. That's what I like to see. So here's the difference though. So Apple's in a squeeze with buying pressure, AMD's in a squeeze with buying pressure. Um, so you can see this would have been that A plus setup for me, and I possibly would have taken the trade. But you always want to remember, if you go look at the daily chart, you always want to look at that daily chart to get the overall trend. So, and you can see here, it was above the 21, so it did look good on the daily. So it definitely looked like a good setup. But this is where some key elements like the ATR and the Keltner channels come into effect. So if you're looking at the daily here, the first thing you notice is it's in a squeeze on the daily, and that squeeze had already fired. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you had 8 sessions of that squeeze of the Apple firing out of the squeeze. Typically, when a stock is in a squeeze, it's gonna and then it fires. It's about 4 to 6 bars. Okay, so today would have been that 8th bar. So in looking at this setup, it looked good on the hourly, but then when I went to the daily, I'm like, man, it's already squeezed and it's fired already, and it's on its 8th bar. I'm probably not going to take this trade on the hourly because this stock has the probability of actually consolidating or coming back to the 21. That's one reason why I didn't take this trade. The other reason why I didn't take the trade is if you look at the Keltner channels, you've got the mid Bollinger Band here. You've got one ATR, two ATRs, three ATRs, right? Well, if you look back, whenever Apple was above the 21 and it got up to three ATRs, you've seen a pullback, right? So you got a pullback here or consolidation. It was at two ATRs and pulled back a bit. Even if we expand this out, you can see whenever it got up to three ATRs, right? Three ATRs here, pulled back. Three ATRs here, pulled back. Got up to three ATRs, it consolidated. Once it got up to three ATRs, it didn't have any continued movement. And so you can see right here, it opened above three ATRs. So the probability of Apple pulling back today is high. So that's the second reason why I didn't decide to trade this setup. Now, let's look at AMD. AMD looked good, just like Apple, right? You had a nice little squeeze. You had buying pressure within that squeeze, okay? So what messed me up here is I put my mark. So this is my alert. I always set alerts when I trade. I usually do if I'm on the road or if I know I'm gonna be busy when the market opens up. So I'll set an alert here and I set it right at that mid Bollinger Band. So I literally missed getting in this trade by what, 30 cents. So I set my midpoint here right at $84, and the trade, it opened up at 84.26, and boom, it just took off. So I missed that trade with AMD because it didn't hit my alert, and I missed it by a few cents. So whenever lesson here is whenever you're looking at trading that stock, a couple of things you want to look at is, yes, you're at the midpoint. Now if we go to the daily with AMD, and you've got to kind of know how these stocks operate, but you can see here it was right at that one ATR, so it had plenty of room to move up, right? Because it was still only one ATR from the midpoint. And typically, the thing about AMD is AMD usually, just from trading AMD in the past, and I should have known better, AMD usually just takes off. It doesn't even pull back. It usually just takes off and does its thing. And if we look at XSD, the semiconductor sector, you can see here once again it was only about one ATR away from that midpoint, so it definitely had room to move up. And that was the biggest thing that made that difference, you know, between AMD and Apple. AMD was a bit more of an A plus setup compared to Apple because one, it wasn't far off of that midpoint, so it had room to move up on the calendar channels, and two, it was in a squeeze, right, and it opened up near that midpoint within that squeeze. So that's kind of the biggest difference there. So, and if we look at another thing we can look at, which when I look at this, I just kind of shake my head. But if we look at, let's see here. So what I did is you can go in and actually plot the strike. So my plan was to buy the $86 strike since that was one ATR for the day. So the $86 strike closed at 63 cents, and I've already plotted it over here. Essentially, all you do is left or right click on the strike, and then you can send that strike to whatever color you designate on your quick chart. And so then if I open up, if I detach this gadget, so now this is what the strike looks like charted. So let's say I go to my 5-minute chart. So I can see on my 5-minute chart, the market opened up right 7:30. That $63 strike was 22 cents, and it got all the way up to $1.44 in a matter of 7:30 to 8:50. So a little over an hour. So definitely could have made some money on that, and yeah, pretty pissed I missed that setup. But hey, live to trade another day, and it is what it is. You're not going to catch all of them. So lesson learned from me on that one. Anyways, if you like the content, please like, please subscribe. If you got any questions, comments, you know what to do. Hit your boy up. Hopefully, you had a good trading day today. Good luck trading the rest of the week, and I will holler at you later.